They thought it was just a joke, tying a black man to a pole for fun. But the next morning, he walked into the station as their new boss. A warm night in Mississippi. Streetlights flicker weakly along a cracked sidewalk, barely illuminating the quiet stretch of road. The air is thick, carrying the scent of damp asphalt and distant barbecue smoke. A black man, mid-50s, walks with a steady pace, hands tucked into the pockets of his slacks. His button-down shirt, slightly wrinkled from travel, clings to his back. He isn't lost. He knows exactly where he's going. But in a town like this, a black man walking alone at night is enough to make him a target. Not far away, inside a patrol car parked near a convenience store, two cops sit idly, sipping from gas station coffee cups. Officer Jenkins, a burly white man in his early 40s, leans back in his seat, tapping his fingers on the dashboard. His rookie partner, Carter, fresh out of the academy, still eager to prove himself, watches him closely, taking mental notes on how to fit in with the department. Jenkins spots the man walking, exhales sharply through his nose, and nudges Carter with his elbow. "Check this out. You ever seen one of them just strolling like they own the place?" Carter chuckles nervously but doesn't say much. He's not used to this kind of talk, not yet at least. But he doesn't question it either. Jenkins is well liked around the department, a man who knows how things work. The radio crackles, but it's a minor call, nothing urgent. They have time. Jenkins straightens up, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. "Let's have some fun." He shifts the car into drive. But the man walking ahead, he's no ordinary pedestrian. He's about to become their worst mistake. This isn't some big city with cameras on every corner. This is the kind of town where things get swept under the rug, where the same last names appear on both the city council and the police force, where the phrase, "that's just how it is," gets thrown around like a family heirloom. People talk, sure. They whisper behind closed doors about what happens when you step out of line. But out in public, no one dares to challenge the way things have always been. The police station isn't a place of justice. It's a clubhouse. A place where men like Jenkins can do as they please and sleep easy knowing nothing will come of it. But things are about to change. Because tomorrow morning, a new chief of police is set to take over. The first black chief in the town's history. And he's already here, walking, watching, learning exactly what kind of department he's about to run. He just doesn't know that in the next few minutes, his introduction won't be made in a meeting room. It'll be made at the hands of two officers who think this is just another night. But they have no idea who they're messing with. The patrol car moves slowly, crawling behind the black man like a predator sizing up its prey. The tires crunch against loose gravel, the headlights casting long shadows ahead of him. He notices. Of course he does. He's been in law enforcement long enough to recognize when he's being hunted. He doesn't turn around, doesn't react. He just keeps walking. Calm, controlled, like a man who's been here before. Inside the car, Jenkins nudges Carter. "Look at him. Acting like we don't see him, thinks he's too good to acknowledge us." Carter shifts in his seat. "You sure we should mess with him? What if he's just—" Jenkins scoffs. "What if he's just what? Taking a nice little midnight stroll?" He leans forward, grips the wheel tighter. "Nah, he's up to something. Let's go educate him." The lights flash. The siren whoops once. The man finally stops, turns around, squinting against the high beams. He doesn't look nervous. Doesn't fumble for his ID like so many others do. He just watches as Jenkins steps out, smirking, thumbs hooked into his belt. Carter hesitates before following. Jenkins tilts his head, sizing him up. "What's a man like you doing out here this late?" The man doesn't flinch. "Just walking." Jenkins snorts. "Walking where?" "Is that a crime?" Jenkins's smirk fades. He wasn't expecting pushback. Most men in this situation would already be apologizing, explaining, making themselves small. But this one, he's standing firm. Carter clears his throat. "Sir, do you have identification?" A long pause. Then the man reaches into his pocket, slowly, deliberately, and pulls out a leather wallet. He flips it open, but before they can get a good look, Jenkins snatches it. A quick glance. Malcolm Price. But Jenkins isn't reading the name. He isn't interested in the details. He just chuckles, tossing the wallet back at him. "You see, Carter, this here is what I call a teachable moment." Carter shifts uncomfortably. "Jenkins, I don't—" "Shut up and watch." Jenkins steps closer, face hardening. "You think you're somebody, don't you?" The man doesn't answer, just holds his ground. That's enough to set Jenkins off. "Turn around." The man exhales slowly. "I haven't done anything wrong." Jenkins grins, as if that's exactly what he wanted to hear. He pulls out a pair of zip ties from his belt, twirling them between his fingers. "Ain't about what you did. It's about what you could have done." The man doesn't resist when Jenkins grabs his wrist. He lets it happen. Carter watches, eyes darting around, unsure of how deep he wants to be in this. The zip ties tighten around the man's wrists. Jenkins looks around, then spots a metal pole near the abandoned lot. He jerks his head toward it. "Carter, help me out." Carter doesn't move at first, but Jenkins glares. "Now." Together they walk the man over to the pole, press his back against the cold metal, pull his arms behind it and secure the zip ties. The plastic digs into his skin. Jenkins steps back, admiring his work like an artist finishing a painting. He pulls out his phone, aims the camera. "Go on, smile for the department." Click. A picture. The man doesn't react, doesn't beg, doesn't plead. Jenkins tilts his head. "Ain't got much to say now, huh?" Still, no response. Jenkins laughs, elbowing Carter. "What do you think? We leave him here for a while? Let him think about his choices?" Carter shifts. "Jenkins, maybe we should—" But Jenkins is already walking back to the car, still grinning. "Relax, he'll be fine. Somebody'll come along. Maybe." He yanks open the driver's side door. Lesson learned. Carter hesitates for a moment longer, then follows. The patrol car pulls away. The man stays, tied, silent, watching. But Jenkins and Carter just made a mistake they'll never recover from. The patrol car disappears down the road, its red and blue lights shrinking into the night. Silence settles over the empty lot, broken only by the distant hum of crickets and the occasional bark of a stray dog. Malcolm Price remains still, wrists bound tightly behind the pole. He breathes evenly, staring into the darkness, thinking. This wasn't the first time something like this had happened in this town, but it would be the last. Inside the patrol car, Jenkins is still chuckling, shaking his head as he scrolls through the photos on his phone. "Man, you should have seen his face. He thought he was somebody. Ain't so tough now, is he?" Carter doesn't respond. He stares out the window, hands clasped together. His stomach feels tight. Jenkins notices. "Come on, don't get all weird on me now. You'll get used to it. Part of the job." Carter forces a small laugh. "Yeah, sure." But something about this feels different. Wrong. He's heard stories about the way things work around here, but seeing it firsthand, being a part of it, it's not sitting right. Still, he keeps his mouth shut. Because in this town, speaking up isn't an option. The quiet night stretches on. A few cars pass in the distance, but no one stops. Then headlights approach. Slow, purposeful. A black SUV rolls to a stop a few feet away. The driver's side door opens and out steps a woman, mid-40s, confident, eyes sharp. She walks toward him, shaking her head as she pulls out a pocket knife. "Took you long enough," Price says, voice calm. The woman chuckles. "Didn't think you'd start making friends this quick." She slices through the zip ties with ease. His wrists are raw, but he doesn't complain. He rolls his shoulders, rubs his wrists. "You get everything?" She holds up her phone. "Clear shots, good angles. Audio too. Should be more than enough." Price exhales, nodding. "Good. Let's go." They get into the SUV. As they pull away, he looks at the metal pole in the rearview mirror. Tonight was just the beginning. The station is buzzing by sunrise. Officers shuffle in, grabbing coffee, cracking jokes, gearing up for another routine day. Jenkins strolls in, still riding the high from last night. He slaps Carter on the back. "You ready for another shift?" Carter forces a nod, but there's tension in his jaw. Across the room, the station's captain, an older, heavy-set man with greying hair, steps out of his office, clearing his throat. "Emergency meeting, conference room, now." Murmurs spread. Jenkins glances at Carter, shrugging. "Probably another budget cut." They file into the room along with the rest of the department. And then, the door opens again. The new chief walks in. Malcolm Price. The same man Jenkins and Carter left tied to a pole just hours ago. Jenkins's face drains of color. His grip tightens on his coffee cup. "Carter." He stops breathing. The room falls silent. Chief Price steps forward, surveying the crowd. His eyes land on Jenkins and Carter, locking onto them with the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. And then, with a small, knowing smile, he speaks. "Let's talk about last night." Silence. Thick, heavy, suffocating. Jenkins grips the edge of the table, trying to steady his breathing. Carter stares straight ahead, face pale. Every other officer in the room glances around, confused, waiting for someone to break the tension. But Chief Malcolm Price takes his time. He walks to the front of the room, adjusting his cuffs, letting the weight of the moment sink in. "Before we get started," he says, his voice measured, "I want to make something clear. I didn't come here to play politics. I didn't come here to shake hands and take pictures. I came here to clean house." His eyes scan the room, landing on Jenkins for just a second too long. Jenkins shifts in his seat, sweat beginning to bead at his temple. Price continues. "Now, some of you might be wondering why we're having an emergency meeting on my first day. Fair question." He pauses, then leans forward slightly. "Last night, 2 of my officers detained a man, zip-tied him to a pole, left him there like an animal." The room stiffens, the air shifts. The older officers exchange glances, some murmuring under their breath. A few look down, suddenly interested in their coffee cups. No arrest, no charges, no justification, just power, unchecked. Jenkins swallows hard. His throat is dry. Carter, on the other hand, looks like he's about to be sick. Price pulls a phone from his pocket, tapping the screen. He turns it around, letting the officers see the image. The photo, the one Jenkins took, the one he thought was just a joke. The one that's now staring back at the entire department, exposing them for what they really are. A few officers curse under their breath. Some look at Jenkins, realization dawning on their faces. Jenkins clenches his fists. He can feel his world tilting, slipping from his grasp. But Price isn't done. "See, what those officers didn't know," he says, "was that the man they were humiliating was me." A sharp inhale ripples through the room. Now it's real. Carter closes his eyes, as if wishing himself away. Jenkins. He stays frozen, gripping his chair so hard his knuckles turn white. "I walked into this town knowing exactly how things worked," Price continues, voice calm but firm. I wanted to see it for myself. To experience what the people here experience every day. He holds up the phone again. And thanks to these two men, I got my answer. The captain, who has been standing stiffly in the corner, finally speaks up, clearing his throat. "Chief Price, maybe we should—" "Sit down." The captain's mouth opens, then snaps shut. He lowers himself back into his seat. Price exhales, slipping his phone back into his pocket. "Now, let's talk about what happens next." Jenkins's stomach twists. He can already feel the noose tightening, but he has no idea just how bad it's about to get. Jenkins shifts uncomfortably in his chair. His mind races, grasping for a way out. Maybe if he speaks up first, maybe if he spins it. "Chief, I—" "Stop talking." Price's voice cuts through the air like a blade. Cold. Final. Jenkins clenches his jaw and sits back. The rest of the department watches, some in shock, others in silent approval. "You know," Price says, pacing slowly, "I spent last night thinking about how to handle this. I could fire you both right now. Could have you arrested. Hell, I could go even further than that." Jenkins tenses. He knows that if the chief wanted, he could press charges. Kidnapping, false imprisonment, abuse of power. It would be the end of him. Carter looks like he's about to pass out. Price stops pacing and folds his arms. "But firing you, that's too easy, because people like you, Jenkins, always land on your feet. You'd slither into another department, another town, and keep doing the same damn thing." Jenkins looks up sharply, caught. Price nods. "Yeah, I know your type." A heavy pause. Then Price turns to the captain. "Effective immediately, Jenkins and Carter are suspended without pay pending an internal investigation." Jenkins jumps to his feet. "Suspended? You can't—" "Sit. Down." The authority in Price's voice is like a hammer. Jenkins drops back into his seat. Price levels him with a steady gaze. "And that's not all." Jenkins glares. "What else?" Price leans in slightly. "You're going to apologize." Jenkins scoffs. "To you." Price shakes his head. "To the community." Jenkins freezes. "There's a press conference this afternoon," Price continues. "You're going to stand in front of the entire town, in front of the people you've been terrorizing for years, and you're going to tell them exactly what you did. No excuses. No spin." Jenkins's mouth goes dry. "You're trying to humiliate me." Price lets out a short laugh. "Oh, you think this is humiliation? Try being a grown man tied to a pole for no reason. Try watching men with guns laugh at you, knowing they could end your life, and no one would bat an eye." Jenkins has nothing to say. Price looks at Carter. The younger officer is practically sinking into his chair. "And you? I watched you hesitate. You knew it was wrong, but you went along with it anyway." Carter looks down at his hands, shame washing over him. "You've got a choice," Price tells him. "You can take your suspension, go home, and pretend none of this happened. Or—" He lets the word hang in the air. Carter finally looks up. "Or what? Or you can actually do something about it." Carter blinks. "What do you mean?" "You want a second chance?" Price asks. "Then you're going to work for it. Community service, ride-alongs with local leaders, time spent actually listening to the people you've sworn to protect." Carter swallows. "And if I refuse?" Price shrugs. "Then you're just like him." He nods toward Jenkins. Carter's face twists. He looks at Jenkins, at the arrogance still clinging to him, and realizes he doesn't want to be that man. Finally, he nods. "I'll do it." Price studies him for a moment, then nods. "Good." He turns back to the rest of the department. "This stops here." This department will not be a boys' club. It will not be a gang with badges. You don't like it. There's the door. No one moves. Jenkins seethes, gripping the arms of his chair, but he knows he's lost. Carter sits with his hands clasped, silent. And Chief Price? He walks out, leaving them to sit in the mess they made. Later that afternoon, the press conference is held in front of City Hall. The town gathers, black, white, young, old. People who have long lived under the shadow of unchecked power stand side by side, waiting to hear what will be said. Jenkins stands stiffly at the podium, microphone inches from his face. Cameras flash. The news vans are parked nearby, broadcasting everything live. He clears his throat. His voice is flat, forced. Last night, I made a terrible decision. I detained a man without cause. I abused my authority. He hesitates. His jaw clenches, then relaxes. I humiliated someone who didn't deserve it. From the side, Chief Price watches. Arms crossed, expression unreadable. The crowd remains silent. No one claps. No one cheers. Because words mean nothing without change. Jenkins steps back from the podium, face tight. He doesn't look at Price as he leaves. Doesn't make eye contact with anyone. He just walks away, disappearing into a sea of faces that will never see him the same way again. Carter stays behind. He doesn't speak at the podium, but he lingers, listening as community leaders take the mic, as people tell their stories, stories of harassment, fear, and anger that have been bottled up for years. And for the first time, he really hears them. The department feels different. Officers who once felt untouchable are quieter, more careful. Some have already put in their resignations. Others, like Carter, are trying to make amends. It's a long road. A single scandal doesn't erase decades of harm. But something has shifted. And Chief Malcolm Price? He's exactly where he needs to be. Because change doesn't happen overnight. It happens in moments like these. Moments where power is challenged, where silence is broken, where people finally see the truth for what it is. And in this town, for the first time in a long time, the truth can no longer be ignored. This isn't just a story about two corrupt cops. It's bigger than that. It's about accountability, about the kind of world we want to live in, about the choices we make when no one's watching. Because power unchecked is dangerous. And justice only exists when people demand it. So, what kind of person are you when no one's watching? Let that question sit with you. If this story resonated with you, share it. Keep the conversation going. Because real change starts with awareness. And awareness starts with people like you,